Chevron refinery. You see the flames? The Chevron refinery just blew up.
Once again.
An important civil emergency message follows. There is an emergency at Chevron refinery. Residents in Richmond are advised to shelter in place. Go inside. Close all windows and doors. Turn off all heaters, air conditioners, and fans. Stay off the telephone unless you have a life-threatening emergency.
It's going down.
Just blew up, dog.
Yeah, we gotta leave this shit.
The Chevron burning.
A big fire at one of the country's largest oil refineries shot giant clouds of thick smoke into the air in Richmond, California.
15,000 residents went to local hospitals complaining of health problems.
Follow the smoke.
It's all chemicals from Chevron.
What happens when you live in Richmond?
The city also claims the stigma from the Chevron fire will affect property values and quality of life.
Here, you guys, let's do it.
I'm doing it. I'm just putting this little green thing on. Where does pass bar?
It was up.
Here you go.
You remember?
You hit your head. Did it hurt? I don't see no blood. You've got extremely low-income people. You've got, crime, violence, a lot of economic desperation. You can't be in a neighborhood like this talking about let's save the polar bears. They're not gonna feel you. Right over there, that's a refinery, belching out pollution. The pollution-based economy created a lot of haves and have-nots. If you've been in Richmond and you drive on that bridge over to Marin County, it's a mind-blowing. Like, what is all this, They're hiding it just over the horizon. There was organic food, solar panels, an economy being built up around health, wellness, environment. I said, this is not just going to be good for the earth. This is going to be investment opportunities, business opportunities, jobs. We could have a green economy strong enough to lift people out of poverty. And I said, this is what I'm going to dedicate my life to. Hello. The question is, who can rally the country for a green outcome for everybody? Green for all. That's our job. I began this incredible coalition, Green for All, trying to get the greenest solutions to the poorest people. I said, if we can have green jobs, we can solve the economic problem, the ecological problem. Between this original... We said we need something concrete where people can actually see ordinary folks being trained to do extraordinary things. We're literally in the shadow of the Chevron refinery. And so you have the last century's pollution-based economy, and then you also have the next thing. And Michelle is the master of training people how to do this work.
In Richmond, the only time you ever saw Richmond on the news was two things. Somebody's bleeding or something's burning, right? If the refinery has a fire, we get on the news. And if somebody gets shot, we get on the news. I want to create some good news in Richmond. I figured that solar is one great antidote to pollution, and jobs are a good antidote to violence. And that's what inspired me to start Solar Richmond. Green jobs are a possible solution for cities all around the country because we're creating job opportunities, and at the same time, they're playing a part in this global movement to clean up the planet. This is a growth chart of the solar field. So it's been growing at about 50% a year. For me, what that says is opportunity. There's money in this field, right?
Since I've been laid off, that's all I do is cook because the wife expects it. Right, honey? She said, okay. I try to put the house in the best situation it can be to keep the conflict down. I try to avoid the conflict. You know, I know she's going to be frustrated at times, usually at the end of the month when the bills are due. She's a great woman. She's been taking care of me, and I think it's time for me to start taking care of her again. So it'd be cool to get solar panels, huh? Yeah. I really would like that. I'll bring her cost down $70 a month. With that $70, we can go out maybe one more time or 2 more times a month to dinner.
We'll pay a bill. Sorry. Be practical. Probably 10 years, maybe?
No, more than that. We've been together.
10, 11 years? Yeah, it was a long time. But we did longer than most people date.
How long?
Who knows why? We just
We're
did.
married for 7 years?
No, we're married 11 years.
11 years, right. So we've been together 13 before that. So we've been together 24, 25 years.
Yeah.
We're kind of like the old school, you know, you get married for life. If you have problems, you work through them, that kind of thing.
You try to work through them. We're still underwater. We bought our house, and now it's worth less than half of what we paid for it. Foreclosure.
Where do you see that at?
When it's foreclosed, they have those usually papers on the door saying the bank takeover.
Yeah.
Some of our other neighbors lost their home. We had neighbors come to our door who were very upset, but wanted to let us know they'd be moving. We're at the point where, okay, you know, who else is going to be going, and will it be us?
Even though we're less than 5% of the world's population, we're using more than 27% of its energy. Over half the electricity in the United States comes from coal. Coal is the biggest source of carbon that goes into the atmosphere. 100 cars of coal powers a fossil fuel burning power plant for 1 day. 1 hour of sunlight hitting the earth is equal to all the energy that every person on the planet consumes in a whole year. There's no shortage of solar energy.
We're one of the biggest residential solar companies in the country. We have 280 employees directly. We employ another 300 contractors around the country doing the installations. The cost of solar has dropped precipitously in the last 5 years by about 80%. We're starting to get to a point where clean energy will just compete without subsidies. So as we swap out and rewire the world, we will increasingly choose solar electricity because it is cheaper. Globally, we'll be majority solar powered by 2030. Who's going to lead that? Who's going to benefit from that? Where will those jobs be?
In my village, there is no electricity. In our house, we use the kerosene and the candles. I was 7 years old. Electricity bring to our village. Once they first see the electricity light, people think this is magic. In 2003, I started my solar business. For solar, there is a great opportunity growth in the market. Westtech was set up the researching and manufacture. 怎么样选择我们的企业的这么情况？
太阳能发热这个 技术，我觉得还有继续推广的很大的一个潜力。
谢谢你，欢迎啊。I started business when I have only 15 people. Now I have 15,000 worldwide. We grow 50% every year.
那如果正常情况下，我们1月12号我们去签那个德国的签证。
懂软件就是一样的，一定要机器做事，一定要机器做事，一定要手脚麻利就真快。OK，Thank you，谢谢。We said teamwork as 1 + 1 = 11. My daughter, she come to my office. She said, "Hey, Papa, you made a mistake. My teacher told me 1 + 1 is 2." I said, "Okay, 1 + 1 is 2. It's mathematics. 1 + 1 is 11. This is economic." Hello, Lily. Are you free now? Yes, Lily. Yes. Are you free now? My daughter, I will teach green energy. Once she grows up, I hope she join my business. Some eggs, coloring, some eggs, yes.
A lot of people look at the clean tech revolution that's going on in the world, and they look at China and they say, why is it that China has been able to pour all of this money and be able to deploy so quickly? It's actually fear. Energy security is national security. If you have this much demand from people who want energy, you have to be able to supply that amount of energy, especially for a country of 1.5 billion people. If you don't have enough oil, if you don't have enough coal or natural gas, where we're going to end up is with riots on the street. The only way to really solve this problem and not to create conflicts down the road with other countries is renewable energy. China is a step ahead in that the Chinese government believes that the science of climate change is real. They believe that climate change is caused by man. China is now the leading country in terms of how fast they're implementing sustainable technology at really large scale.
Today, I believe that China now has industrial might. It has more manufacturing capacity for wind energy than any country in the world. It has more manufacturing capacity for solar energy than any country in the world. Renewable energy is the largest wealth creation opportunity of the 21st century. And the United States and China are in a huge battle to be the largest economic power. This really is a race. The first one to deploy the most solar technologies at scale wins. They get the most jobs, they get the most billionaire entrepreneurs, and they become the most affordable place to do business.
A thin PV crystal is like a thin piece of glass. It's actually made out of the same stuff glass is. Did you know that?
Silicon.
That's right, that's right. It's made out of silicon, only it's highly refined. They get it to what we call 6.
Men have at last harnessed the sun with the Bell solar battery. Let the sun shine upon it, and you get an electric current.
Solar is an American technology. The first commercialized solar panel was 1954 Bell Labs that was in real use, and that was through the space program.
The first solar cell that went up worked weeks, months, years, decades. It just kept going. And once that happened, solar became the power source for satellites.
The United States government continued to push solar forward during the space race. Kennedy's moonshot was so important to show the country that things that were formerly thought of as impossible were actually possible.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills, because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win.
Having that leadership, rallying the country behind a common goal, and the government being able to make those investments in technology made getting to the moon possible and unleashed an era of technological advancement.
When I hear the word environmentalist, I think about people going out and planting flowers everywhere. Who's going to pick up bottles they see on the ground. In Richmond, you're not going to find any environmentalists. People have way more concerns. I really never thought about none of these things until I got in this program. I went to college, but I didn't feel like it was for me. We was in class talking about Socrates. I didn't see anything long-term. A bunch of minimum wage opportunities. You don't go to college, you still can get a good job, but it's gonna be a lot harder. It's gonna be a lot harder.
My dad grew up in a place very much like Richmond, California. I mean, he grew up in the poorest part of Memphis, and he grew up in abject poverty. He was able, though, to put himself through college. And then he put his little brother through college. Then he put me and my sister through college. This is the biggest sock I've ever seen. Where'd you get these socks? He used to tell me all the time that you've got to go through the internal disciplines of climbing that ladder out of poverty yourself. That's every individual's responsibility. My dad also said society has a responsibility as well. Society has to make sure that every child has a ladder to climb. And that's what's wrong right now in places like Richmond. It used to be the case that if you didn't go to college, it was all right. You could go get a blue-collar job. We had manufacturing going on. Now, a lot of those jobs have left the country. And so you wind up in a situation where low-income people have to try to climb a 6-story ladder out of poverty, but the ladder only has 4 rungs on it. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about green-collar jobs, you're talking about putting some green rungs back in that ladder of opportunity. If we pass the right policies, real people are going to have to get up in the morning, put on their work boots, put on their green hard hats, and get out there and do the work.
Environmental advocate Van Jones' new book, which makes its debut this week on the New York Times bestseller list, is called The Green Collar Economy: How One Solution Can Fix Our 2 Biggest Problems.
Van Jones lays out a plan for a green economy he says could help solve the nation's economic inequality.
70% of global warming problems are the cities. We can't beat global warming without greening the cities, and we can't green the cities without greening the ghetto. You are ground zero for our agenda. The only way we can save the polar bears is to save the neighborhood.
This is BBC World. Very good. We were at the meeting this morning. Hey, very good. It would be hard to imagine my work-life balance being any worse. If I get 4 hours of sleep, I'm doing great. But we're in the first minute of the first mile of a very long marathon here.
You could put people to work right now, repowering America with clean energy. That's what this movement is all about.
As a result of fire at the Chevron Richmond refinery, 15,000 people were treated at the hospital for respiratory-related conditions.
We are in a state of emergency. Why are we the city that leads the county in death and disease? People are still experiencing symptoms. some that may turn into very serious conditions like cancer or heart conditions.
The day after the fire, Chevron raises the price on gas, and the people of this town are paying for their fire. And I think they made, how much, $3 billion in the last quarter?
And the fact that they put a lot of money into campaign contributions for council members created a certain privilege for Chevron.
Oil giant Chevron is pushing for a multi-million-dollar refund on its property taxes. At the same time, Chevron announced big profits today.
When I ran for city council, I won by fighting hard against a large corporation who really conducted an out-and-out campaign against me. We have a vision for green jobs that will not only put money in the pockets of our residents, but will also show that we can meet our energy needs.
We definitely could be a solar city if you have the political will.
There's a revolving door between governments and fossil fuel interests, and so they're protected in large part from competition. We subsidize dirty energy with investment and tax credits. We refine them in communities that are already marginal and dispossessed, like Richmond, and they've concentrated a lot of wealth and power. So we've got to change power supply, and that will mean changing power relations too.
If we got full taxes from Chevron, we would be so flush in money that we can put that money into stimulating the green economy.
Energy policy is social policy because solar power is distributed, because it is local, because it can be owned by the people that use it. We can make a fairer, cleaner, lower cost world. That's an amazing reversal of fortunes, putting power in the hands of the people, both literally and figuratively. That is the potential of solar.
Here's the power formula. Volts times amps equals watts. Watts is power.
Training for a new field of work at 40s is frightening. It's absolutely frightening because you don't know in the back of your mind if it's going to be an age thing.
Now I lost me.
Yeah, you take a big step backwards. Look, you got 8 modules.
Right.
1 string.
It's 12.
12 volts what?
Right.
How many amps?
1.
Now
here I'm a college-educated person and I have no job, so that's definitely frightening.
When you wire in parallel,
Amps go up, right?
So where did you get the 24 from?
Because
you
the watts. It's the watts.
That fear will be the method of my motivation.
You didn't put the 2 strings together in series, you put them together in parallel.
Oh.
You are like this far away from having it nailed, man. You're doing good.
Get another cable?
Let's see, where can we touch it? Here's an easy place to touch positive, right? So yeah, just find a bare piece of wire there. That's perfect. And now you got to go to the positive side. Okay, this one's good.
Yeah,
that's the positive, positive. Good.
That's positive, positive.
And on the other
which
side,
is parallel.
Now let's watch your hair blow there, okay, Paul?
I never thought that this would be so easy to get a fan going off solar panels. I'm cool right now, even though I'm in the sun. What do you got going on there, Rick?
Well, we found this music box here. We decided we wanted to try to power this up with some solar modules.
Hit the switch.
Too fast.
Look at that.
We couldn't recognize the song.
We couldn't recognize the song because there's too many volts running through it.
Correct.
When we cut it down to half.
Ready?
You are the sunshine of my life.
Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
And it's powered by the sun.
Awesome.
The sunshine of my life. That's why I'll always be around.
Solar was started by hippies in the 70s.
Yes, those crazy tree huggers that everybody hates were right.
By the way, it wasn't the hippies, it was us hippies, right?
Yeah. The early adopters were people concerned with the environment, but when it reached the public, it was more out of independence mixed with necessity.
The oil-producing countries of the Arab world decided to use their oil as a political weapon. They will reduce oil production by 5%.
The solar industry had one of its larger eras of public adoption during the oil embargoes of the 1970s.
No more gas, not again.
We must face up to a stark fact. We are now consuming more energy than we produce.
During the Nixon era, OPEC raised oil prices overnight, very much shocking the nation.
The oil is declining, and the problem will be a problem of availability and not problem of prices. When you are thirsty in the desert, you are ready to pay whatever you have money in your pocket for a glass of water.
We saw it again under the Carter administration during the Iranian Revolution. The Iranians cut back supply and spiked the price of oil in America. We were afraid we were going to run out of oil, not have enough oil, and it was basically being rationed.
This intolerable dependence on foreign oil threatens our economic independence and the very security of our nation.
President Carter actually set an energy agenda. He wanted us to be on 20% renewable energy by the year 2000.
Today, in directly harnessing the power of the sun, we're taking the energy that God gave us, the most renewable energy that we will ever see, and using it to replace our dwindling supplies of fossil fuels. Solar energy will not pollute our air or water. We will not run short of it. No one can ever embargo the sun or interrupt its delivery to us.
President Carter put solar panels on the White House.
So help you God.
Ronald Reagan took them off the second day he was in office.
Congratulations.
One of Ronald Reagan's secretaries actually said that solar was not a technology befitting a superpower.
We were left with all of these great technologies in solar, wind, storage, that were invented in the United States, but we just didn't have the policy in place to deploy them at scale. The oil industry, they receive $20–30 billion a year from the US government in subsidies. When you have a system that's been in place for 100 years, and you've been making money for 100 years, the last thing you want is innovation that actually turns that system on its head.
Oil and gas produce massive amounts of energy. Wind and solar don't.
We couldn't build enough solar panels and enough windmills. It would still be fossil fuel.
I want an energy policy that works, not this nonsense of supporting wind and solar.
I love the South. Solar makes sense for the South because look out outside today. Look at the sunshine. Solar is becoming so affordable. Utility companies see solar as a threat, and they really began to fight now very hard with everything they've got.
The Green Tea Coalition, as it's called, has come together to break what they say is the unfair monopoly state law gives power companies to deliver electricity. Solar, they say, is the way to do it.
The Green Tea Coalition, we asked Georgia Power to include more solar in their integrated resource plan. This was led by Republicans, but we're facing a battle. We were attacked.
But despite the Tea Party support, a political group founded by billionaire brothers Charles and David Koch wants Georgia's utility regulators to reject the new solar plan.
Follow the money. Koch-funded groups like ALEC and Americans for Prosperity are pulling out all the stops on a local level to stop solar. energy freedom and liberty is not a Democrat issue. It is not a Republican issue. It is an American issue.
As China moves from the factory of the world to the clean tech laboratory of the world, it's working with partners from around the world to deploy large amounts of capital to be able to buy this equipment, install it in large pieces of land in China, and it does it at a pace that is, frankly, a China pace, right? In a blink of an eye.
The government get more and more support for the clean energy. They give me the bank support. I get low interest loan. They issue the law, and the government started to promote local people to use more and more solar. We are planning to create 8,000 job opportunity for the jobless for the Texas. My Solar City project is support for the Texas governor, and this is Perry, and he's my friend. He supported me very much for the promote the solar energy in the U.S. I told you. I have a dream. I want to go to US and buy a land to build the solar city. Solar city will be including the factory, training center, convention center, hotel, and the solar mall. That's my dream. After the solar city build, then we can use free energy and also create jobs and also save the money.
Green for All is a part of a much larger movement of groups that are trying to propose climate solutions that actually create jobs and make us better off. We're going to be trying to get legislation done this year in Congress. It's going to be very stressful.
This is the first time I've heard Jen really be frustrated because, and she's got to be with, 2 sick kids for a week. And so she was like, why are you gone again? I don't understand why this is so important and these kind of things. It's hard.
We have an opportunity to solve the 2 biggest crises possibly ever to face this country, an economic catastrophe and a climate crisis. We have an opportunity to do something that no generation of Americans has ever had the opportunity to do. We can build a green economy. We have the opportunity to connect the people who most need work with the work that most needs to be done and fight pollution and poverty at the same time. This is the chance for America finally to return to its roots as the most important economy in the world, not because we are the #1 consumers, but because we are the #1 producers.
That's pretty good.
We got $500 million for the Green Jobs Act. Anyway.
Yeah, this is great. This is great. Excellent day.
Excellent
Thank
day.
You.
Thank you.
Yes.
We're just changing the world, America, changing the world. No autographs. How are you? How are you?
I don't want to work at the Chevron refinery. I just don't want to be around all those different chemicals and gases and whatnot. I think in the long term, it does affect a lot of people. And like with my dad passing away from cancer, it's just something I'm scared of.
Curious about.
This one.
You and your dad.
Boy, you guys tickled me.
Right now in Richmond, there's not much opportunity as far as employment. A lot of the industries have pulled out and left.
I just knew you was gonna grow up to be an engineer of some kind, because you always wanted to figure out how things worked.
My hope for Edward is that he comes out of this program with skills and knowledge that can carry him through his life and be able to sustain himself.
I just want a job. It doesn't have to be a green job. Well, I want a job, a good paying job.
I was in the solar class, walked in and seen an open seat next to a pretty girl, and I went and sat down. Tierra very talkative, and so she just striked up a conversation.
Yes, ma'am.
Tierra already knew a lot about solar and construction in general, so she was able to help me a lot because I was fresh and didn't know much of anything. But working with her, I grew an interest for solar. It makes it funner having a beautiful woman there helping you.
Okay, you and Tierra up. Just work together, okay? You carry it like that, you bring it here.
Most women might be afraid of the whole electricity thing. It sounds dangerous, but I feel pretty confident in the things that I've learned. Just want to make sure that I'm doing everything the way I'm supposed to be.
Get that belt tight, okay? So pants are not down to here, right?
It's the heat, he's delirious.
I'm most looking forward to actually installing a real solar panel on someone's home. Like, cause I never thought about this stuff. I know that I have it in me to become an installer.
A Bay Area homeowner today got thousands of dollars worth of free work done on his home, and in the process, some kids are learning a new craft. You might call it a win-win situation.
Go to the first available bracket there. This is the point where we said that.
Go right there. Right there. We're pretty good right there.
You got it. Hold on.
Let's lean that one up against here. Put it into place. Okay, great. Perfect. All right.
Once I figured out what solar really was and how you can supply energy to your own house, I was thinking, well, I can wire up my own house with solar panels and save some money there.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
That's the free power that you're getting from the sun right now.
Get out! Get out of here!
Get out! You're making more than you're using right now.
So I'm not having to pay anything right now.
Not
this
right now.
moment.
No.
Whoa! I'm not having to pay nothing.
Hello. I like them numbers. Are we going to do this in the city of Oakland? I live in Oakland.
Oh, yeah, we're doing it in Oakland.
Well, how come I don't know nothing about it?
I'll give you my card.
Give me your card.
No, you
They're doing it in Oakland. Am I going to be able to get solar? Am I going to be pumped from the sun?
Starting today, we must pick ourselves up and begin again the work of remaking America. We will harness the sun and the winds and the soil to fuel our cars and run our factories to meet the demands of a new age.
For the first time, we're going to have a president that is taking the environment and energy and climate crisis seriously. I got a phone call from Carol Browner, who is the energy czar for Obama, and she wants me to join her team. She said that she was facing a big set of challenges in the White House and that somebody with my particular gifts could make a big contribution.
You know, aside from relocating the family and those kinds of issues, which I feel, you know, like we would just deal with, if that's what the decision that you make, if that's what you want to do, we'll just deal with that. My main concern is you running Green for All is, in my opinion, really important. I guess I'm just not sure that you going to the White House is going to be the most effective way for you to use your skills to serve.
For me, like the criteria isn't, you know, what's going to be the, you know, the best kind of like resume booster. The legacy I want to leave for these guys is he got some people some jobs. You know, he made some stuff happen.
We got any more tape? Yeah,
Yeah.
A Bay Area community activist who over the years has fought against the establishment is now moving to the establishment's epicenter, the White House. President Obama has tapped Oakland's Van Jones to be the White House's special advisor for green jobs.
Moving the family to D.C., I feel blessed in this crazy way. It's like 3 months ago, if you sat me down and said, what is the best possible job that you could have in the White House? The best possible job, don't hold back. And then we're gonna add whipped cream and sprinkles to it. It's still only been half as good as the job I actually got. I can kind of pick the problems I want to solve and then have tremendous support getting them solved.
I like depending on how you do the math, somewhere between $6 and $13 billion for energy efficiency for buildings. This is one solution that's good for the environment in terms of saving energy and cutting carbon emissions that will save you money.
You know, I think we should retrofit every building in the United States. I have the authority to try to figure that out for the White House. I think that we should do a major effort with regard to green jobs for rural America. I've got the authority to do that. I get to pick those as problems to solve and do them. That's a great job.
Joining me now, the president's special advisor on green jobs, Van Jones.
What Barack Obama wants to do is give the people with the big ideas support so they can compete, and you're going to unleash a tidal wave of innovation, a tidal wave of entrepreneurship for small business, for the new folks to get in here, shake up this energy sector, and create new jobs.
Last semester I was going to college and it really wasn't for me. I didn't like sitting in the classroom and I just didn't like school. I found this program, you know what I'm saying, it opened up brand new opportunities and brand new doors for me that I never thought about. I didn't even know how to drive a nail before I came in here. Thanks to Andre though, I can hit 9 in a minute. I want to thank all of my classmates for helping me. I got love for all y'all and I appreciate everything y'all did for me. Thank you.
You're turning your lives around, improving your lives for yourself, for your families. You're helping Richmond change its image because you are showing other cities that we are ready in Richmond. We are ready for those green jobs. We most definitely are.
The moment we've all been waiting for. Paul Muldrow. The second.
This is fantastic. I am so proud of him. It's been a long haul since his dad passed, and my heart is full. My heart is so full. Thank you. I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of you.
I'm ready to go to work right now. We can start.
As Hurricane Sandy moves west, it has left an unprecedented path of destruction. Over 8 million are without power.
What we saw after Superstorm Sandy is that global warming threatens us all, everybody. In business, you work in facts. And when, 99% of the world's scientists all agree that beyond a shadow of a doubt this thing is happening and it could have catastrophic consequences for humanity, I'm going to substitute my judgment for them? No way. Energy, we're the second largest power company in the United States. The biggest and most profitable of the power plants we have always owned are coal plants. Our fleet was aging and it was carbon intensive, and I didn't think that was good for the long-term future of the company. At Energy, we started a strategic shift towards clean energy. You're talking about somewhere between $1 trillion and a $1.5 trillion market. You know, there aren't too many other opportunities out there like that. So I don't think we can afford not to do this. The goal that the world scientists give us is reducing the carbon in the atmosphere 80% by 2050. The electricity sector is the biggest single issue. We have to go to zero carbon emissions. I'm confident the electricity sector can be 100% renewable power. Just 3 days ago, Germany was 75% on renewable power. And, you know, Berlin did not collapse, lo and behold.
Welcome to Düsseldorf, ladies and gentlemen. Please keep your seatbelts fastened until we have reached our final
My suggestion, we can set up a joint venture, brand them to developing the China market and the global market. Let's work as strategies. How can we do in the future? Manufacture in China or in US?
I don't see US, but...
So the MOU, okay? Yeah. For business cooperation between Westtech and the resort. Thank you. We hope we can do some more business together. Germany is the biggest market for solar energy. In Germany, they adapted very fast. They issue a lot of law to encourage the people to use solar energy.
Germany has decided to switch off all its nuclear power stations by 2022. The move is intended to turn Europe's largest economy into a front-runner for creating renewable energy and jobs.
The European Union has a target of 20% renewables by 2020. I think that's not going fast enough. I think we could easily come to 80% renewables by 2030, no problem. It's not a technical problem at all. It's a problem of political will. And it's a problem of breaking the influence of the big companies that provide our energy now.
For this renewable energy, we need the government to give the guidelines and encourage the people to use solar energy. I think US need to take action.
The United States simply hasn't figured out how to do solar effectively and cheaply. You look at the country of Germany, it's working out great for them.
And they've got lots of sun, right? They've got a lot more sun than we do. And the problem is it's a cloudy day and it's raining, you're not going to have it.
The sun shines on average in Germany as much as it does in London. Even if you account for the subsidies the German government and the German people paid to get that solar, they still netted 300,000 jobs. So we're 4 times as big and twice as capable. So you do the math. It's 2.5 million jobs if we did what they did.
If you want a green economy, if you want to start dumping megatons of carbon pollution into our atmosphere, then you have to look at the polluters and give the polluters some reason to stop polluting. We had a strategy, and the solution was cap and trade. The basic idea, very simple. Nobody should be able to pollute for free. Simple as that. You can't pollute for free. If you go out here right now and throw a tin can on the ground and a police officer sees you, you'll get a fine. Why? It's a civilized country. You can't pollute for free. Big oil, big coal. You've got to say to these people, guess what? You're the most profitable company in the history of the world. You don't get any more tax breaks and goodies from us. We're going to limit how much of this planet-baking pollution we can put up in a year, and every year we're going to put up less and less until we're done.
So you instantly begin to put all your research and development dollars toward the clean solutions and new technologies, new innovations, and deploying them so people get jobs.
On this vote, the bill is passed.
Cap and trade legislation passes the House. Now it's on to the Senate.
I don't think we realized when we started tugging on that little string, what if the economy were better? What if it were better for poor people? What if it were better for generations yet to come? I don't think we really realized how threatening that little thread was to people who make a lot of money with a tapestry just the way it is.
Fact. Cap and trade will mean higher electric bills. The fact is, America can't afford the cap and trade tax. Tell your senator to vote no.
The federal government taking over the economy. That's really what cap and trade's all about.
You know, if we let this cap and trade go through, if you think you're getting money taken from you now, just wait if that thing gets through.
Americans for Prosperity may look like a grassroots group because of its bus tours and its rallies, but the Koch brothers founded that, and they fund that organization. So it's the big attack dog that they're using to defend their carbon-based wealth. In this report, we went through the world's billionaires from the Forbes list, and we looked at who is actually wielding their wealth to stop the solutions like solar, like wind, like energy efficiency. And you see really towards the top here, that's where we got to learn about Charles and David Koch. They co-own Koch Industries, a conglomerate whose fortune is based on fossil fuels. They funnel millions of dollars over the years to legions of lobbyists, think tanks, and fake grassroots agents that protect the fossil fuel interests.
Let's bring in Phil Kerpen. He is the Director for Policy for Americans for Prosperity. I think this is a watermelon bill. You know,
I think you're exactly right. This bill is green on the outside, and inside it's deep communist red.
The idea of a price on carbon, Americans for Prosperity and Glenn Beck came down hard on that idea. Now he's gone after the proponents of it, like Van Jones.
He saw in green jobs kind of the kernel of capitalism's destruction, and I think Obama agrees with that.
At a certain point, I started getting Google alerts of Van one day. There's like 30 that are just crazy. Then there's like 50, and then there's like 60. I mean, it was just, you could see this kind of increase in chatter.
He's a former black nationalist, an avowed communist. He came out an anarchist, and he is in the Obama administration.
Today, Republican Congressman Mike Pence called on Jones to resign or for President Obama to fire this controversial czar.
Should he stay or should he go?
Oh, well, there's no doubt he should go.
I wonder if Obama has the guts to get rid of this guy.
Well, we've heard from the White House.
And they're not about him, really. They're about trying to find an inroad into attacking the administration.
Before it was just Fox, and now it's Main Street as well. I think I should quit tonight.
I think you should listen to it before you make a decision.
Honey,
I'm just
I'm
saying.
talking. Wait. This is going to be every day. Worse and worse and worse. I don't see...
It has nothing to do with your job.
The media has nothing to do with reality. But people in the United States, they will all have heard of Van Jones by the end of this month. And it won't be good. I mean, this is a full-on war against you. We have to have everybody we know defending everything I've ever done. Forever.
The heat is on President Obama and his controversial green jobs czar, Van Jones. The question now, will Jones resign, be fired, or maybe actually survive this whole thing? Joining us now here in Washington is...
Van Jones resigned in a letter, quote, "Opponents of reform have mounted a vicious smear campaign against me. They're using lies and distortions to distract and divide. I have been inundated with calls from across the political spectrum urging me to stay and fight, but I came here to fight for others, not for myself."
It was so devastating because you literally were one step away from opening the floodgates of private investment, of new entrepreneurs, of new jobs. And the House passed a rules change, but the Senate wouldn't even take a vote.
In nearly 80 different countries around the globe, solar is as affordable as electricity from the grid.
The sun is free to every country. So there is no end for the solar business.
This must be a good market for the future. It's a huge potential market for the future.
There is a big demand, especially for the developing country. There are some countries do not have grid system. For the solar, they do not need to build the grid. They just put the solar on the roof. Then they can have the light, just like the John App seeds, and spray my solar seeds worldwide. This year, I'm traveling more than 30 countries. Hi, bonjour.
Comment ça va?
Bonjour. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
We can charge in the daytime, and once the nighttime is coming, we have this sensor. So this is working for the poor people. You can improve life. This is cool, really.
Kerosene is so bad for the health. We are going to give light to 500 million
Africa, yeah. Every day I see the sunset or sunrise in different countries. We live in the earth. The earth is one globe. It's a village, a global village. Wow, so beautiful it's here. Oh my God. I think more and more my dream would come to the truth, and more and more solar would be used. I think the energy is just like the love. Because of many people needed love. Many people needed energy, especially needed this free energy.
I'm a solar installer, and I'm out here looking for work, and I was wondering if you were hiring today.
You know, I believe we are looking for workers. Let me see if our HR department is available right now.
Wow. I can't believe that's the first time they actually said, yeah, I think we are looking for people. Waited a year for that.
Good morning.
Paul?
Paul Muldrow.
Nice to meet you.
The reason I got into solar, I believe that's the future. I kind of missed the .com, so I'm kind of hoping this is the big boom. It hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Maybe to you guys, but not to me.
What are you targeting as far as pay rate?
You know, it's whatever you guys are going to pay. You know what I mean? I'm not going to try to go higher or lower. I'm ready to work, showing up ready to work. Whatever you tell me to do.
Yeah.
All these people say, but I had an uncle who used to work at a manufacturing facility 40 years ago, and he no longer has a job, and therefore I hate China, right? I get it. But when you look at a solar power project, only about 1/3 of the cost of that is the actual solar panel. The other 2/3 of the cost of that is design, installation, sales, marketing, service, which are all American jobs, 100% American jobs. You can't outsource those jobs to other places. If China actually drives the cost of solar prices down, then more solar is cost-effective versus the electric utility industry. And more Americans get jobs because more solar can be installed. The thing that you learn from China is that solar can grow so fast. And so that means the government actually has to send real signals to the marketplace for an entrepreneur to thrive.
We're gonna do this like the moonshot kind of clarity. We're gonna go to the moon and back in a decade. We're gonna rewire America with clean energy in a decade. We in America need to make that call and go forward into the future like those other countries, or we'll get left behind.
Being pro-solar aligns with conservative values because it's free market. It provides competition for these monopolies. There have been some that said that those that support green energy are communist. Well, I'm a right-wing conservative. I've been called a lot of things, but I have never, ever been called a communist. The Green Tea Coalition worked with Sierra Club and other environmental activists, and guess what? We won this battle. In addition to more solar being added, so has more jobs. We don't have to wait on the gridlock in Washington, D.C. One state at a time, we will win this revolution.
Grid Alternatives, this nonprofit organization, mounts free solar on low-income people's homes.
I kind of think it's funny that, I haven't been able to get a job yet, but, I'm getting solar on my house.
This is a live wire.
I think I didn't make it because the demand's not there yet.
But I gotta tell you that putting solar on my house was the best decision ever. Our electrical bill was 80 to 90 bucks a month. Now it's chopped down to about $5 a month because it's yours. You ain't paying everybody every month and you get a low bill. Before we got solar, I would always hear about the electrical bill, but it's real low now.
Right now, my house is as green as it could be. That all came from solar training.
Goes here? Yeah, that's the first panel we're gonna lay. Okay. I actually just got full time. I luckily interviewed with this company first. Sent an email, and they called me back in like 30 minutes. I had a job the next day. Because all the panels are connected to each other. Then it sends through the J-box. From the J-box, it travels to the inverter. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. Yep. I like installing in neighborhoods I'm familiar with and that I grew up in and where I got family and friends. I actually installed these solar panels right up here. While I'm at work, I'm seeing people I know. And they looking like, man, what you doing? I'm working, man. That's what I'm doing.
Take something out for dinner. After a while, I found myself making trips to come see him outside of class. Just kind of gradually moved in.
Okay. I want to provide a good situation for my girlfriend, my future family. With this career, I could be a project manager, engineer. I could help design systems. I hope to seize all of those opportunities.
Tell David to tell my 4:45 call to call me get closer to 5. That might be good to give us enough time. But just okay, bye. But I'm ready now. Thanks, bye. By the time the real facts came out, I had already resigned. I don't know what my next steps are. And, I made the choice that I made. I'll always second guess it. I'll always go back. I'll always walk it through my mind. But nothing that has happened has reduced my faith and confidence in the final outcome. You know, maybe I won't be in the White House doing it or whatever, but that wasn't my goal in the first place. My confidence always was in ordinary people.
What's so crazy about solar is that the fight can happen locally. That means people actually have to get involved locally. Like, don't buy a Prius. For the love of God, go to your local city council meeting. Go to your local utility. Tell them you want clean energy. That's how things change, and that's how you'll get a job.
If you're waiting for Washington, D.C. to act, you're going to be waiting for a long time. States, tribes, cities, that's what the action's going to be. And who are they giving the microphone to? I'm not on the main stage talking. They're giving grassroots activists the floor, because they're going to be the ones to get it done.
I'm an Asian American mother of kids with asthma from Oakland, California. We are frontline Asian immigrant families who face fires from refineries year after year because Chevron is in our backyards. We're tired of waiting for the United Nations to solve the climate problem.
You can't stop this green movement. Despite this collapse in Washington, D.C., you still have a green economy that's growing. We will have a global green economy. Close your eyes, go to sleep, we'll freeze you cryogenically. When we thaw you out, in 100 years, we will have a green economy. This is the future of humanity. If we have a future, this is it.
In Paris this morning, a potential landmark deal is being revealed on climate change after 2 weeks of talks. The agreement calls for almost 200 nations to reduce man-made emissions of greenhouse gases and would be legally binding.
L'accord de Paris pour le climat est accepté.
How significant is this deal, do you think?
Massive. For the first time ever, we are on the verge of having an agreement that moves us out of carbon-heavy emissions and into a future that thinks about alternate energies.
This is an incredibly ambitious plan that will completely remake the world economy if it's actually enacted.
We need clarity and signals from above in policy. We need to create more businesses and fill more niches with this incredible American invention. The solar cell, which is the heart of the machine, will be deployed on awnings and tent-like materials. Windows will have translucent photovoltaics. There'll be facade materials for architects to create a beautiful aesthetic as well as some electricity for the building. The cell phone will have the solar panel on the back of it, and you won't have to plug the thing in.
So now I'm hooked up to my solar electric power supply. So now I'm charging. It's all solar, carbon-free.
You'll roll your electric car onto a mat, and through inductive charging, your car will charge overnight. The only way you can do that is going to be by harnessing wind and the sun.
In the United States, the solar industry is less than 1% of electricity supply, and we already employ 120,000 people. So when we're 10 to 20% of the electricity supply, we'll be hundreds of thousands and millions of workers. We'll be one of the biggest employers in the country.
The United States and China are the two largest emitters of carbon in the atmosphere. If the U.S. and China work together, that would be a game changer on the idea of global warming, climate change.
It doesn't just take one country to implement solar and deploy solar around the world. The world is completely interlinked. Bottom line, we have very little time left to get our act right. It's not the U.S. and China at stake. The world is at stake.
love Texas. Total, we have 210 acre land. This side will be training center because we need to train the people. That area is my solar factory will be. This side will be solar city, and we will build the hotel and the convention center. More than 3,000 people will be working here. This is my dream. Can you imagine it?